I couldn't figure out why my camera wasn't working, but it's because I had my keyboard plugged in and closed on my Surface.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's how smart I am this morning.
we're mastering technology this week. That's kind of the theme of the week.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on? But
I
now
don't-
I know.
And like, we shouldn't be like man versus machine. We should be like, man being helped by machine. Maybe.
I'm gonna blame it on not being able to sleep from 4 a.m. to 5. So
Wow.
that's my excuse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Good morning.
Hi, Anne.
Hi.
We have Sue Suter is on the call. She's getting connected. So now you have a quorum, but I noticed you have literally two things to act on today, which are approval of the agenda and then approval of minutes.
Yeah, I noticed that too. We don't have a whole lot.
I mean, you can always, as you all have discovered this year, you can always move to do something that, I haven't included in the memo. So I don't want to speak too soon, but it is happily, it's information heavy today.
That's right. How are you doing?
Doing well. We've had a lot of problems with equipment this week and last week. So, slowly, one machine at a time, overcoming our barriers. And I'm happy this computer is working. I'm in the lounge
Woo-hoo!
room. It's
All right.
a good day. Yeah.
Well, I'm in the kitchen because I'm cooking rice and the dinger is going to go off in about 10 minutes, which
Okay.
means I'll have to get up and just turn the stove off, but that's no big deal.
Cool. Well, we've got, let's see. I think we're only waiting for one more board member. And then I don't see, so we have some presenters today too. And they're not here yet. But that's okay.
Anne is going to join around 9:15.
Okay,
Annabelle, excuse me. Annabelle will be joining around 9:15.
cool.
And I believe a host of her family and friends is also going to join to see her presentation.
Oh,
as well.
good.
Now, what is this? Is a resource guide presentation? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yes, the young woman, she's a student at St. Joseph Ogden High School, and she
Okay.
developed a resource
Okay.
guide for that area that she's going to present to you all today.
Okay, great.
And
About
it's,
nine.
Very excited for her presentation.
I am too.
I don't know why, but I'm very excited.
Well, we
Well,
know
that's
that,
great.
we know that people love to create resource guides and that there's always a need for resource guides. So it's kind of the theme of today. But hers is really cool because we found out about it totally by accident. So, and then she got permission from school to take time out of class to come do this.
That's excellent. Well, we'll give her our full attention. Now, is she the one that had this suggestion for stress relief activities?
Yes.
I noticed that every single thing that's wrong with you, listen to music is top of the line for how to reduce your stress.
Maybe I'll have to try that sometime. Maybe that's real.
She strongly suggests it.
Okay, well, I've heard it before.
Pretty much everything that's wrong with you,
Nice.
every category.
I think there's also
That's good to know.
using the parks. She talks about using the parks or other natural features of St.
Mhm.
Joe. Is that right? I think that's really cool. So Bring on the resource
Works.
guide.
Works for me.
Exercise too.
Yeah.
Works for me. Well, do we want to go ahead and get started or?
I think if you want
it
to, you
won't
sure
take-
can. You have a quorum, and I'm sure Kim will be joining us when she can. So,
It won't take 15 minutes to get through the first 8 items. Maybe we could reorganize a couple of things.
well, we might, because you never know what is going to happen with my comments.
All right, okay. Well, so we have one person who's still missing is Kim.
She's
here.
she's here now.
She just signed on?
Yep.
All right, okay. Well, then I'm going to call the meeting to order. And who's doing roll call?
Deb Ruch,
Here.
Sue Suter,
Here.
Georgiana Schuster,
Here.
Kim Wallowik Fisher,
Here.
Ann Robin.
Here. Okay, well, the next item is Zoom instructions, and since you're all here, I guess you got the Zoom instructions. And we can go to approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I will move to approve the agenda.
I'm sorry, I really should be sharing the agenda with you. There it is.
I think we all have it. Thank you.
Okay, great.
I'll second it.
Okay, I guess we have to do a roll call. Stephanie, do you want to do roll call? You're muted.
Sue
There you
Suter,
go.
Yes.
Georgiana Schuster,
Yes, here.
Sue Fisher,
Yes.
Deb Ruch,
Here, yes.
Ann Robin.
Yes. All right, we have an agenda. Okay, the next item is citizen input and public participation. Do we have anybody that wants to make a little presentation or comments for this part? All right, as usual, if something comes up later, we will add it back into the agenda. And I'll move on to chairperson's comments. I don't really have a lot of comments today. Just want to thank everybody for being here. And today's agenda is mostly informational, and we can discuss the information. Lynn, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, so it's on me to kill some time with comments.
Well, or you can just say whatever you want.
Well, so I was happy to be able to organize a meeting for you, which starts out with these really positive projects. I hope that you enjoy the presentations. There's also, after that, we get serious with a conversation about direct support professional workforce shortage, which I think, you know, that's also reflected in the priorities document. So if that conversation is short or not, I'm kind of placing it in the center of our work. So we could talk about it at a whole bunch of meetings if you want to. It's always relevant. So then there's a first draft of the priorities for the next funding cycle. And if we don't have time for input to that through discussion today, please feel free to send me any email, email or call or text with any input that you might have about that document. Kim Boudry will be sharing it with service providers and family members, and she has a network of stakeholders to share that with for input. And she's already gotten some really great feedback on the 3-year plan, which I incorporated some of into this priorities document. Then after that is something that maybe, seem really dry, and that's the policy, that's the funding requirements and guidelines document, which you've revised in the summer, like in May, I think. And then before that, in 2018, after the revisions in May, we took a deeper look at it with an attorney. And so the revisions presented here don't really change any of the rules substantially, but tighten up the language with advice from our attorney. And So it's an opportunity to look into that. We would bring both of these documents, the draft priorities and the draft funding guidelines, back to you for approval, probably in December, which brings me to another thing, like if everybody is available in December, then we can put all those approvals into that December meeting. And then consider for November, maybe canceling the morning meeting and having a joint study session and special meeting with the mental health board in November. So that's something for y'all to think about. We don't actually have a room for the November meeting. Doesn't really matter since we're probably going to still be on Zoom, but there is a study session topic which would be of interest to both boards. And then there's possibly some discussion about the Scylla, either related to sale of the Scylla home or to what we do next, which would be of interest to both boards. So that's just something I wanted y'all to think about. And then I have a memo in here on update on the Scylla project. And I want you to know that when I wrote that, I had a very different today in mind. I really thought that we would be selling the home on Friday. And we encountered some pretty significant issues during the inspection and have decided to pull back from it until we can make the house safe. So that's, so you can see like in this update, that's captured, but then there's a whole bunch of ideas for what we might do next with the fund. And it feels like I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but I'm remain hopeful that we can correct the deficiencies and get the sale happening after all. So anyway, we'll get to that. I still don't see our presenters in the waiting room, but I'm kind of running out of stuff to say. This is really just an overview of this agenda, which I may just put back up on the screen for y'all and maybe entertain any questions that you have about this agenda.
Well, I have a question. I guess I'm not muted. When you say to make the Scylla house safe, do you want to elaborate on that a little bit more? Did something happen, or was it something that we were not aware of before? Or
that's it. The inspection identifies some, it identifies things that are quite doable, small repairs, which we were on the track of doing, but it also identifies maybe a serious problem under the house. So we need to have, first of all, we couldn't remediate that problem by the time of the closing, which was set for Friday. Second, we want to have additional inspections and get some competitive bids for the work. So this may be a topic to bring back to you all in November if it changes anything about the listing. I would need to bring it back to both boards for approval, but we're not at the place right now where anything is different. It's just the scope of these repairs could be expensive. And I think I can share the screen to show you what we're looking at.
Lynn, I have Anne, I have a question. The extent of the repairs that it sounds like we weren't aware of, the extent of maybe what we needed to do. Were we getting regular updates from the property manager?
Well, no, but the problems that we have found in the house were caused by water. So these are sneaky things that can happen over a period of years and you don't know it. So the problems in the attic were caused by water, and the problems under the floor may also be leaks. So it's possible that when we bought this house 6.5 years ago, our own inspection failed to identify problems that were already there. But because these are water, they're kind of insidious and slow. The only sign of a problem, which we saw on the walkthrough in July, was some leaks on the ceiling tiles. Now that, that was like, uh-oh, maybe we need a new roof. So we did put that on the list early on, and that was,
Right.
we all went into this with that information in mind. We didn't know that there was a problem under the house. So.
Is there a basement?
It's a crawl space.
Okay.
Do you believe, didn't IAG staff complain though about an odor and moisture from
They
time to
did.
time?
When we went to the walkthrough in July, she said there's a smell that comes up about this time of year. So we got to get that checked out.
But they had never reported that before, prior to that, to the property manager or anybody else.
I don't think so, but I don't have, I don't have complete records of everything that IAG might have emailed or notified the property manager of. She did not say to us that they had been asking for help about that. She just said, here comes the smell that comes around this time of year.
Hmm.
And that would be a sign of water damage. There's also a fence, which is, when we bought the house, it had a fence in the backyard, but that is inconsistent with the guidelines of the homeowners association. So we have to remove it no matter what. Like that's, we won't be able to get sign off from the homeowners association until we do that. But that was, I think that was part of our earlier plan, was to remove the fence because it was in disrepair. But these are the additional repairs that we had not been aware of.
Okay, we can come back to this if there are more questions or concerns that people want to raise. I would like to do approval of the minutes because that's the other action item that we have today. So let's get our action items done, and then we can proceed from there. Can I get
So
okay.
moved.
Thank you.
Second,
Any comments about the minutes? All right, Stephanie, you want to do a roll call so we can approve the minutes, please?
Georgiana Schuster,
Yeah.
Kim Fisher,
yes.
Deb Ruch,
Yes.
Sue Suter,
Yes.
Ann Robin.
Yes. Okay, well, it's not quite 9:15. And we have Annabelle who's going to present when she's available. Is she available?
She's not here yet, but I'm sharing the screen with
Okay.
the
Okay.
brochure.
And what about item B, the UIUC Community Data Clinic Resource Project? Is that a presentation?
That is, but they're not coming until after this one.
They're not coming, okay. The direct support professional workforce shortage is probably a longer discussion. And allocation priorities, draft funding guidelines. I don't know if those are longer discussions or not. Would we like to have successes and other agency information for just a couple minutes while we're waiting for our presenters?
Sounds like a good idea.
Rebecca, I see you're there.
Yes, hello.
Would you like to make a little presentation?
Sure. I was just actually making some notes. I guess I can just give a kind of a quick update on how things are going. Our employment department continues to do really well. The people, we've got a number of people all sort of having a lot of job coaching at their new positions, a bunch of different places in town. Folks doing really well, kind of getting all the details sorted out, which is really great to see. And it's really nice to see everybody just kind of like settling into those new routines and kind of having it like wind into their normal everyday life. Our self-advocacy group is also doing really well. I think we've been talking with Kim, and I believe they're going to be presenting at the November meeting. Is that right, Kim? December?
You guys, yeah, you preferred December.
Sorry.
Okay.
Time is weird these days. And they also, they had a tentative appointment to meet with Director Patrick from DRS last week. And we actually, we've rescheduled that for a couple weeks from now because she had a kind of a last minute change to her schedule. But DRS had been reaching out to a number of self-advocacy groups around the state to sort of just get some feedback on how their services are going, if there's any sort of changes. Director Patrick has been really great about really wanting to hear feedback from people. And so our group is really excited to talk to her. So I think those are the big highlights, unless Hannah, if you've got anything else that I forgot, feel free to chime in. But yeah, things are moving along.
And Rebecca, I just want to say you do a very good job of sending out text, email updates. I appreciate those. And I don't think I've specifically said that, but they are informative and helpful and just the right amount of information. So thanks for that good work.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. We try to get information out there. It's nice to know that it's helpful.
Well, you send things out and you just don't know whether anybody's even looking at it.
It's true. Yes.
But I think we are. Okay, anybody else want to? Sue, did you have your hand up?
I did. Becca, what is your partnership with DRS?
Oh, so we have a contract with them to provide employment support. So we have a milestone contract with them, which I think is probably their most common type of employment support. We do they support with job placement, and then like 90 days worth of job coaching and support on the job once the person is hired. And then for some folks that we work with, they do probably need a little bit more than just that 90 days. And actually our contract with you all, our customized employment contract, it does, one of the kind of services built into that is kind of ongoing support for folks who are on the PUNS list if they need some, continual check-in and that on the job support, we're able to do that. So other than that, I mean, we obviously have a good relationship with the counselors over there, but beyond that specific partnership, I think that would be about it, really.
Thank you. That was a great explanation.
Sure.
And if you want to come back to success as an agency information, our first presenter is here along with
All right.
her supporters.
Well, let's have her. Let's give her the floor then.
So Ms. Huber came to our attention because she developed a resource guide and shared it with the United Way. And it looks like it's a Girl Scout Gold Award project too. So I don't know if I say Anna or Annabelle or Ann, but anyway, Ms. Huber is here and you can take it away.
Right. So as she said, my name is Annabelle Huber. I'm going to share my screen. I have the give me a second.
By the way, I want to thank you for taking time out of school today and thank your mom for helping us put this together. I'm very, very happy to be able to have you present to the board. This is just the kind of thing we're looking for.
So, all right, that's not working. So I'll try to figure it out while I'm speaking. My name is Annabelle Huber. This is in fact my Gold Award project. There we go. That's showing now. So for this, for this project, I noticed that there seemed to be a little bit of a connect between mental health issues and issues of poverty or just being down in luck. So, while noticing that, I took advantage of it for my gold award so I could deal with it for my gold award. I myself had dealt with some mental health issues, and from that, I was able to develop things that helped me. And then I also talked to multiple people in the mental health profession from Minnesota, who I was able to get connected to due to my uncle, who was friends with them. They also helped me to develop a list of coping tips and strategies. And then I also looked up some fitness tips because I knew that fitness helped me when I was in a bad place mentally. Also connected with that, I took in the poverty aspect of it. For this poverty aspect of it, I developed cheap crafts for families with young kids who might be down in luck. And I also then connected with United Way and advertised United Way and a 211 service, as well as multiple other things in my community, such as school staff, church pastors, and non-emergency police numbers, as well as, of course, 911 for anyone who wasn't aware that that's what you do when you're in a bit of trouble related to physical. With my partner, I also then developed a website based on everything that I have on this brochure. It is everything here with more detail put into it. With these coping tips and strategies, I didn't put much detail into them on the brochure. There's just a little bit of help for anyone who gets my brochure but doesn't want to go to my website. If you go to my website, there is a lot more detail with these. Unfortunately, as I am accessing this from a school computer, my website, due to being based on Squarespace, is unable to be accessed due to the school's internet policies. So I cannot show you my website today, but on my brochure.
Anna, I can do that for you.
Oh,
It might
thank you.
take me a second, but I'll try, okay?
All right. The link to my website is on my brochure. It's not functioning as a link for whatever reason, but copy it, paste it into a search bar, and you should be able to find my website. My website also has pictures of many of the different crafts that I came up with, as well as then a physical link to the United Way website.
So I got it, but we can't both share screens at the same time. Do you want
All
me?
right.
If you
I
don't
can-
mind. Okay, and then I'll put it up right away. Here it is. It's very pretty.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wow, look at that.
It's very pretty.
Thank you. I like those colors, so hence why I chose them for my website.
That's beautiful.
I focused my gold award specifically on my community as I live in St. Joseph, Illinois, and therefore it is a lot easier and generally a lot more convenient and easy for me to find access to these ways for St. Joseph, Illinois, as well as surrounding communities. Had I focused it probably in Champaign and just Champaign County as a whole, I do not think this would have worked quite as well. If you can go to the crafts page, you can see it has a very similar color scheme. And then you can see different little pipe cleaner crafts that you can use as pretty much anything. you just scroll past an angel and then a clover and then a heart. The heart being the simplest one of them, hence why I called it simple. You can do those crafts with any pipe cleaners whatsoever. The angel one takes 2 per angel that you create. The clover takes 3, and then the heart only takes 1. But you can make it more and make it a little bit more decorative. If you could go to the coping mechanisms area, it just says coping. I first put up the national helpline for suicide and other mental issues. And then I put up all the coping mechanisms that I have for each of the different things. We're currently scrolling past coping with stress. And as you can see, it's a lot more detailed than it is on my brochure. This is it on my brochure. I couldn't fit all my details that I had, but on my website, I could. If you could continue scrolling, I have a lot more coping tips. With all these things that I said, coping with anxiety, depression, it really only means coping with the symptoms of anxiety and depression. As you continue seeing, you can see even more that I have. I have a lot of extra details, not only on just the simple coping mechanisms themselves, but also then, another line of even more detail to them. And then I have fitness, as fitness is in and of itself a wonderful coping mechanism for basically any common mental issue you can find. And you can see at the bottom there is another link to the crafts and coping page, which we are currently on. And then you can also see that I have put up, this is partnered with United Way and then made by me and the Girl Scout troop that I am connected with, that for right now, it is still currently mainly me keeping these up to date, but as the much younger girls in the troop grow older, I will be involving them in it as well. Simply, although for right now, if it would be anyone other than me, it would be the parents of those girls, as they are in 2nd grade and 3rd grade. I am connected with the Brownie troop due to being the only girl in my troop, and then my sister wanted to join. She got some of her friends too as well. So if you could go back to the main page, which would just be the home link right there. There you
Beautiful.
go. Thank you. So with this, you can see that I put a lot of effort into organizing and making it look pretty, as that would be the page that immediately comes up whenever you click on this. So if you continue scrolling, you can see that I then have links to the coping page that we just visited. And then if you continue scrolling on the home page, I then have links to the craft, and then I have a link to the United Way. If you click on Learn More for the United Way, it will take you to the United Way website. You could go back to my website. All right, sometimes apparently loading
Yeah,
takes-
something's wrong. I'm not, okay, there it is. Sorry.
There we go. And then that would be the end of my website.
Should I stop sharing the website and then you have
Yes.
control again? Okay.
can put up my brochure again. So you can see on here that on my website, I don't have one of the things that I have on my brochure. On my brochure, on my website, it is simply everything that I have on my brochure in more detail, except for one little section on my brochure. And that is the family fun section, part of it, to be fair. I have the crafts all on my website, which are in the family fun section on my brochure. But on my brochure, I also then have a little paragraph of little tips that you can do, like visiting Champaign moms for a candle of fun family activities, and also saying that you can go to a park very easily. As you can see, I created my own logo for this project. With my logo, I took multiple things that Google Drive had available as little sprite images, and I put them together as well as my words for it. As you can see there, I say on the bottom of my brochure, partnering with United Way, CCDDB, and CCMHB. All right, and that would be about the end of my presentation there.
Thank you so much. I wonder if the board members have any questions for you before you go back to school.
Don't have any
Annabelle,
questions, but I just wanted to say thank you. Annabelle, what a great service project, a wonderful resource. And thank you for presenting to us.
I would second that. I agree.
Annabelle, I agree. That was great. Have you gotten any feedback from some of your fellow students? Or is it too new for that yet?
I have not gotten any feedback from my fellow students, mainly because this has not really been shared in my school much, but I was thinking of sharing it in my school some, specifically by putting it with the guidance counselor here. And I saw another question in the chat.
I can put the document into the chat because you helpfully shared that with us. So if that's okay with you, Annabelle, I'll just make it available right now.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. I shared it with Champaign County Mental Health and Disabilities Board and United Way.
Yep.
So hopefully they would be able to share with you.
And if I can't get it into this chat, which is what I really want to do, I will email it out to the broad group. But thank you for permission to share it. And also thank you for recognizing the DDB and the Mental Health Board. They are co-funder of 211. For all the years we've had 211 service in this county, the DD Board and Mental Health Board have paid the equal share to the United Ways. So it's been a shared effort, and I really appreciate you recognizing that.
Kim Fisher wants to say something.
Thank you. I think my hand is hard to see in the window of my screen, but Annabelle, I just wanted to say thank you for doing this brochure. And I wanted to let you know that when I opened my package, I think last week when Lynn had sent it, so I was going through and I saw your coping techniques, and I used a couple of them over the weekend. I was kind of going solo, taking care of my kids. My husband was out of town, so I needed a lot of coping mechanisms. So I took a walk, I listened to music, and I did make myself get some extra exercise. So I wanted to say to you that it directly impacted me just in the last week. So thank you for that. I think it probably will really impact students in young people in your community, because the things that you recommend are free and very easy to do. for
No,
them to
I
do it
think
independently.
too, especially given that a lot of people in my school are in sports and such. So even just that, if they end up in a low place, they could realize, hey, exercise will help me here, but it'll also help me in sports.
That's
And
great.
of course, music, listening to anything that's free. I know I use a lot of this myself. Ah, I see we've gotten that would be my website. Right there.
So I was able to share both the PDF of your brochure and the website. I think if we were going to post it on Facebook, I might need to make a Word version of it, or a JPEG of it, but I can handle that. So thanks so much.
Annabelle, thank you very much. This was an excellent, excellent presentation, and I hope it gets widely shared around the community.
Thank you.
And you've already helped some people.
And Kim has a comment or a question.
I was just clapping with the clapping emoji.
Oh.
Clapping emoji. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Annabelle. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Right.
Thank you.
And thank you
Excellent
to Annabelle's
presentation.
parents as well. Yay, you.
Thank you. It was all Annabelle.
Well, I really appreciate you connecting us with her. That's really great.
Thank you.
All right.
Also, thank you, Mom. You made me actually work on this.
Where's Dad? Dad's on here too.
He was.
He's the silent
Figure
partner.
out how to do the website.
He's there. I see his name. He's just not chiming in.
Yeah, video and muted.
Yeah, well, that's Dad.
This is
All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
inviting Annabelle.
Thanks to all of you.
Dr.
Right.
Robin, are you ready for the next presentation?
I am ready
All
for
right,
the
I'm
next
going to-
presentation, although that's going to be a tough act to follow.
I know. Thank you. Thank you, Annabelle.
I'm going to go back to schoolwork. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Have a good
So-
day.
So speaking of 211 and websites and resource guides, we have been, I think, maybe 3 or 4 of us have been reporting in our staff reports for a couple of years about this collaboration. Some of you met with Jorge and his colleagues about this project last year and gave us some input into the forum. So I thought it would be nice for everyone to get the overview. They've also been meeting with agencies. So a lot of folks on this meeting will already be familiar with this project, but I'm very pleased to introduce from the U of I Community Data Clinic, the team that's been working on a 2-in-1 resource and an online resource database for 2 years. Is that right, Jorge? And we have the project team leader is Jorge Rojas, and he has brought some colleagues with him. So I'm going to stop talking, and I will also share the screen when you tell me to, or you can present what you have.
Yeah, thank you, Lynn, and thank you all. Yes, we are doing an executive presentation today about the general of the project. And we are extending just the invitation for all the participants today to provide some feedback of some issues and challenges that we are having nowadays in this project. So so thank you for having us today. I'm sharing now my screen and activating here. Daniel, can you help me to contact Professor Anita Chan? I don't know why she's not here, and she used to arrive early in the meetings. Okay, just have sent her an email. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with this. So again, thank you for having us today. This presentation will show the main aspects of the Improvement 211 project, cover these 2 years of this great journey that we have with this opportunity. We also will explain how the Champaign County Resources, the main product of our project, is an innovative approach to access information to human services and crisis and community building around the 211 service. Finally, we will share the next directions that we expect to follow with your support and feedback to better serve our community. Our team in Community Data Clinic, some members present today, is an interdisciplinary group covering areas of user-oriented design, critical information studies and communication, and project management. Our core community leaders here also in the meeting are Kim Bowdery, Leon Bryson, and Lynn Campion from CCMHP CCDDB, Jasmine Hernandez and Danielle Chinowet from Cunningham Township Supervisor's Office, Beth Baker and Mary Noel from United Way of Champaign. And we talk about the core community because of the scale that this project has reached in these 2 years. Here is a screenshot of the previous 211 website, which was the baseline of our project. Clients reported to our core community a mismatch between the hours of attention and eligibility criteria data on the listings posted in the website. Also, they reported that the search features were focused more on like a directory structure instead of the user needs and current standards of search in the industry. Finally, they just reported about hidden options preventing sharing resources and limited support for languages because currently the website only supports English. Human services agencies also found challenging processes of updating their data, limited connections with clients because of their passive role in the interaction, and having just the perception of inattention from the 211 provider. Thanks to our conversations with PATH Crisis Center, which is the 211 provider for our county, we have the chance to learn that this is a standard product with low flexibility to meet local needs. Also, PATH privileges phone interaction to preserve human connection, however, making invisible some user publics that prefer to use text or website browsing to avoid identification. Finally, there are some community-based resources that were excluded by policies, and currently the service itself is underfunded. So we started this project with the following objectives, just to try to improve and create a community on this. The first one is to increase the access to human services providers by expanding the available options to browse into the 211 directory. It means how to make it more usable and to help more our community and the people. We also want to create a participatory design community to inform the new prototype, confident that with the participation of more people in the design, their result will be better, usable, and better impact product. We also wanted to improve the accuracy of the information posted in the 211 directories, just based on the issues I just mentioned. encouraging and having more participation of the users themselves to provide feedback about these issues. And finally, expand the community of human services provision by including their resources, experiences, and knowledge. All these objectives of the projects were focused on both improvement the technical part of the information service, but importantly, to influence the relations between the directory, the community of service providers, and one desired perspective of human crisis. We propose a community approach to human crisis focused on three main dimensions. First is to be human, is to encourage connection to external resources to prevent isolation of people in crisis. Connection support increases motivation, and this is fundamental to cope with crisis. We provide the ability to connect to a person to 211 resources, horizontal and cyclic communication, and we want to use clients' most comfortable languages for the communication. Also, we want to promote to be accepting. We mean with that to reinforce how capable a person is, that we are not looking to avoid or to hide the crisis, but accept that this is happening, and demonstrate empathy on how we communicate. So we avoid failure or accusatory language and show plenty of options on resources and how they can be so close to their visitors to the website. And finally, to be lasting, meaning that we should connect to an individual's internal motivations, how they feel responsible and in control of their crisis. We promote explicit and visible options to communicate, practical information about agencies, and options to save and share the information about the resources with others. So based on these dimensions of the user experience, we prototyped Champaign County Resources, which is a community-oriented and social media size hub for the community. It combines access to information and community building in harmony of manage, update, and keep attractive features for our user publics. So we added user accounts to have the ability to update their information for service providers, simplified the searching processes, and having a list to export recommended services, either to print them or email it to clients and participants. Added a calendar platform for posting events and provide another outlet to advertise the events for service providers and their communities. For users, we added multilingual support based on the diversity of the Champaign County. Also have maps and a graphic search to find resources and finding easily directions to find the location. We have a responsive design on mobile devices, also having the like minimum requirements, thinking on the technical possibilities of our visitors. And finally, we added error reporting, which is the ability to know if the information is correct, up to date, and report to other visitors if that is not. And finally, we added community resources, which is leading exercises to highlight new features on the website, allowing community members to highlight their contribution to the process, video tutorials, and a newsletter with short surveys to increase participation of the community. This is a preview of the prototype in both desktop and mobile versions. The current address is champaigncountyresources.communitydataclinic.com. We wanted to clarify that Champaign County Resources is is intended to be a local complement to 211 directory and is not replacing it. We have a 40-member community providers already registered in our website who are updated their listings, attending info session, and updating their information. If you have not registered in our website, please feel free to activate today. We have more than 200 preloaded service providers. Registration is free, and we will activate your account today. We also have the chance to advise on information technology decision-making to Path Crisis 211 based on this experience. So they have updated their own website, adding some interesting features and added new channels of communication, like adding text messages to support the 211 service. Finally, we will add a workflow with Champaign County Champaign County, to include new resources, community directories, and make them more visible. And let's check one example of this for you today. LGBTQ resources were a category absent in the previous 211 directory, was invisible in the main page of the website. With a co-design with Unity in Pride, an organization based on Chicago and Champaign County, we worked together in the visibility and iconography of the LGBTQ community for the directory. First, we uploaded more than 27 new resources specific for the community, for the LGBTQ community in this resource. And also we found in this exercise how they not only need a section in the directory itself, but an inclusive infrastructure which should be across of all the directory, having features that provide information for this community on inclusive registration processes, uses of preferred nouns and pronouns, safe spaces to gender identity expression or gender aware design, and inclusive physical infrastructures and how to reflect them on the website, as we have here when we talk about any location. And also they want to use our report, error report feature, also to report that which agencies are failing to comply with inclusive practices in their services for the community. Crisis response architecture and creating an infrastructure for this kind of resources includes to assemble components like a directory, data analysis capability, maintenance processes, regulations complaint, interfaces, training, and sustainability. Champaign County Resources now is transitioning between the prototype phase to infrastructure by defining processes like the organization to support the maintenance, clarifying relationships with other directories in the county, and activating more users. We are still not decided the connection between Champaign County Resources and Path 211. After a few conversations with the new director, the communication is on standby. Chris Workman, the new director, manifested his concern that CCR was causing confusion to the community, asked to shut down our website, and withdraw any support to the project. In meetings with United Way of Champaign, we concluded that he needs some time just to adjust to his new position in Path Crisis and have a better understanding of this project, because we have always clarified that we are not competing with them, and this is a complement for the community. Finally, we started a new phase of prototyping with the new CESA mandate on first responders' attention. In a new partnership with Urbana Police, University of Illinois Police, Rosencrantz Center, and the core community of this project, we are designing the new features to support a new directory in accordance to the law. If we would have to have like a checklist of how to make this prototype an infrastructure, we think about having an advisory board, having a moderation and data curation community on board, relationship with other directories, a continuous process of adding and serving service providers, and defining a revenue stream and cost structure establishing. So what is our call to action today for today's CCDB? And these all actions items are open points of discussion, and your support and feedback we hope to help us to address to effectively serve our county. First is that we ask you to collate a task force to design the transition from a prototype to actual service. So we could ask you today about what kind of activities or issues do you think we should cover to reach a successful transition from this prototype to an infrastructure. We are asking you funding and support for the outreach campaign to increase the number of active service providers in CCR and to co-host a public launch of Champaign County resources. We can ask you today of which kind of community events do you think we could also take part to promote Champaign County resources and find more agencies to activate in our website. We asked you to submit a communication to Path Crisis, emphasizing the relevance of this project for our community, and ask you suggestions on how we could restart this kind of relationship, because we think that Path Crisis is a fundamental part of this kind of exercises to provide the resources and the 211 service in our county. We also want to know your opinions about how we could co-design, and is it relevant to co-design connections between the Disability Resource Expo and Champaign County resources. And what do you suggest about this? And finally, we ask you support for the first responders prototyping phase to comply the new CESA mandate. We think that CESA mandate is a good opportunity to plan how this kind of community service should be sustainable because of their request of maintain a new a directory of resources for all the community. So thank you for your time. Please, having just the questions that you may have. We are so happy to share this meeting with you today. And any question, please let us know. It's a running presentation.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Do we have comments, questions for the presenter? Kim, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Can you, thank you for your presentation. Can you, I'm new on the board, so can you explain a little further the interaction that you've had with Path 211 and kind of the issues with the partnership? For me, I'm not sure if the rest of the board members are familiar with this concern or not, but that would help me better understand some of the things that you're asking us to do in the call to action. But if you could explain the interaction that you've had with Path 211 and what the concern has been, that would be helpful.
Yeah, thank you for your question, Kim. I think that not many people knows about this situation, but so that's the reason because we having this community call to action for that. And what is our interaction with Bad Crisis? We started this project with them, with the previous director who was Karen Sanderly. And they participated regularly in the meetings we have. They shared with us the data set that was the base of Champaign County Resources Directory. And we have the chance to share always the prototype and the progress we have in the project. It always has been just is one question for us and the group team on how we could have an effective interaction with the current director. And there are many ways to do that, many options to do that, but we need the support and involvement of the new direction on that. To meet again, to share what kind of suggestions and ways that we can do it, and having some decision for that. We don't want to create conflict with Bad Crisis, because it is the total opposite of the purpose of this project. What we want is to increase the access to human services in this community, and to have a better support of the 211 service, because we think it's fundamental for this community. So that is in general lines what this situation is happening now.
Can I ask a follow-up clarifying question real quick? Sorry, Georgina.
Okay.
So can I just clarify? So essentially the CCR would be focused on human services and supports in Champaign County. So if someone is in Champaign County and needs that support, they can go to CCR and get information about services and supports in the county. And if they needed some additional services and supports, they could go to 211, which would maybe provide information about a larger area. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, I think both directions are possible. 211 directory ruled by Bad Crisis is covering 40% of the counties of the state of Illinois. So they of course have some limitations to serve local communities. The gap that Champaign County Resources is trying to fill is this kind of gaps for local resources. Mm-hmm.
How would Champaign County resources be accessed if what people know right now is to call 211? I mean, not everybody knows that, but that is all that is known right now, is to call 211 for resources. How would CCR be worked into that? Would you be part of the 211, or would you be a separate entity, or would the 211 people give the caller information about CCR, so that if the caller is from Champaign County, that they would then be referred to CCR? I'm not sure how you would interact or interface with 211.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you for that question. It's we think that we need different outlets or different channels of communication with the community. It doesn't matter if we have one or two websites that offer similar information, but we need different ways to reach the community, providing that information. The strategies that we have to create this this kind of involvement implies a more dedicated work with the local service providers and how they respond and they interact with their clients and provide referrals to them. So so some of our strategies are that directly the service providers have more involvement in the website, share with their clients, and suggest both ways to interact. So yeah, so these are like two following strategies, but we are sharing just both the local and the 211 themselves. Lynn, please.
This is a point of clarification. While we were working on this project over the last few years with the intention of making the 211 resources more widely available, and this is, you know, some of the people requesting that those resources be more easy to access were police officers and case managers. So certainly people in crisis were having trouble accessing them, but also the helpers of people in crisis were having trouble accessing. And then just a couple months ago, with the passage into law of the CESA Act, there's a companion bill which requires all law enforcement agencies to have a regional database, online database of crisis services. And so here is a product that actually meets that need, like already created. 211 alone doesn't. So and this is also, you know, this is real consistent with the national rollout of 988, which you've probably all heard of, which is the mental health crisis line to, you know, to be a complement to 911. So 988 is rolling out from above, and the states are deciding how they will comply with that law. And so I believe that these pieces associated with CESA, the second bill, which requires law enforcement agencies to have a database like that, is partially to meet the 988 requirement. And there is a provider who's operating in Champaign County and another county with a state contract to do just that. And when I told them about the work that the Community Data Clinic has done here on this online resource database, they felt that was perfect for meeting this requirement. So there is some potential beyond the original intent. There's some potential to help, at least with first responders and law enforcement on this. Anyway, just sorry.
Okay, Lynn, that's very helpful. I'm kind of keeping track of the time here. We've already lost one of our members. We've been meeting for more than an hour, and I guess I hadn't really because the presentations are kind of open-ended, and we've got quite a few other things that we need to at least touch on in this meeting. I'm going to ask your guidance. Thank you, Jorge, for your presentation. It was very interesting, and I think it's giving us a lot of food for thought. And you're asking us to do something, but we don't really have an action item on the agenda, so we're going to have to come back and have more discussion. And Lynn, I'm going to ask you to give us some more guidance on that as we go forward, and also a little bit of a timeline on it.
Yeah, thank you for that. As I mentioned, these action items are an open conversation. This is a community exercise. Thank you for having us today.
And thank you for all your work.
So and it was
so
really,
Lynn, we're going to come back to this.
Yeah,
am I right?
Absolutely. This is something that we've been working on for 2 years. And we invited board members to a meeting with them. I think Georgiana Schuster and Deb Roosh came to that. And so I think we'll just continue like that. You know, this is a situation that's developing. The new director of Path Crisis has a huge role in this, and the law enforcement agencies here locally also have a role. So we'll just keep you informed as we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that. Some of this is new information for me also. Kim Fisher, I just want you to know, I was not as informed as I would like to be. And I'm kind of reading between the lines on some of this here too. So we'll have more discussion as we go forward. So I'm looking at the agenda. It's after 10 o'clock. For some reason, I thought this was not going to be more than an hour meeting. Silly me. And I've got some things that I need to do this morning too. Can we kind of look at the agenda again and see how much time we want to spend discussing the various items that we have left to do? The direct support professional shortage could go on for a long time. Do we have anything that we really need to discuss on that right now?
We have two things to tell you. There are a couple of articles included in this packet. First of all, there's a chance that there's already been introduced legislation which creates a distinct standard classification for DSPs with the DOL. That would be very helpful. It's the beginning of a real solution to create a category of its own and actually describe the work for what it is. It's not nannying, it's not babysitting, it's not cleaning the floor of a house. It is very specialized, and because there just aren't a lot of people doing this kind of work, it's been lumped in with other standard classifications, very much to the detriment of the field. There is also, I was at a conference yesterday, I got wind of behavioral health also is experiencing a workforce and direct support and want to join into this effort. And I would probably not find that very helpful because this is different work and needs now to be distinguished and treated as distinct and paid for the work. So I'll let you know. I have asked a question of our National Association Director as to where that legislation is, and he hasn't answered yet. He was going to look into it. So I'll let everybody know if there's some advocacy work to do, because I think that is first, the most important thing we could do. Then after that, it's about money. So it's like, what can we do to make it pay better? So I think that toward that second piece, Kim Bowdry and Leon Bryson and I are working with a group of U of I students who are doing research on efforts in other states to build up this workforce. And we've seen these projects before, and I don't think we've been super impressed, but we wanted the students to look and to maybe come up with either a critique or some recommendations. So hopefully we'll hear from them in December maybe. So that's it.
Okay, any other comments about that issue?
Sorry, Anne, I do have a question.
Yes,
a clarifying question. So Lynn, are you saying that the Department of Labor is considering reporting out DSP numbers every month, like in their monthly employment numbers? Is that what you're referring to?
This is about getting them a standard classification first. So if that's something that comes with having your own standard classification, then that's amazing. I mean, we can't even get a true idea of the cost of turnover in the field because they're not distinguished from home healthcare workers and other similar, like nurse aides. So.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, that is very helpful, thank you. Okay, I'm going to move on to item D, which is the draft allocation priorities and selection criteria. And I think, Lynn, do you want to make any comments about that? It's basically clarifying language. Am I correct? There's no substantive changes. I did make a few notes.
In the priorities document, it's an initial draft for you of priorities for the next allocation cycle, which we need to have final version approved by you before the application system opens up. So there's a little bit of time if you want to look through it at your leisure and make suggestions or engage with Kim or me on ways it could be improved or questions. That'd be great. Kim's going to be seeking stakeholder input too.
And what is the timeline? We need to approve it by December?
Well, I think like we probably need to have it approved before we open that application system, which is technically January 3rd. You have a December meeting scheduled, so if we can get to a final approved version at that December meeting, that's perfect.
But if we don't have a final approved,
We
I
might
mean,
need
it
to
sounds
have
like
it-
we
We
need
could-
it.
Well, we could have a special meeting if we don't. It's just, it gets a little bit hard to schedule people, in December, but it's absolutely possible to have a special meeting just to do that.
Well, I would encourage us to look at it and get it approved at least by the December meeting. You're suggesting that we not meet in November, so December is going to be the only time to approve this.
Right. I mean, you have a November meeting scheduled and we could absolutely do that if they think that's helpful. There's so much stuff for you to do with the mental health board that's coming up that I was thinking a combined meeting would be helpful, but it's up to you all.
Okay, well, maybe Lynn, you and I can talk about the logistics of this. But I think right now I would say we need to, everybody needs to have a chance to look at it, which I have looked at it. And we need to have it as an agenda item on a scheduled meeting.
Right.
If you need it before January 3rd, it needs to be done either in November or December.
Right. Yeah. I think Kim Fisher has a question or a comment.
Yes, sorry. I need to look at the Zoom rules again. I think I'm not jumping in right, but for the priorities, Lynn, is it possible to get a copy of the priorities from last year, just for me to be able to compare?
Yeah.
Have they changed or not, or something like that? And then I guess I just would like information from the board. I mean, these are a lot of priorities. And so is that typical to have this many priorities and items under the priorities? And is that helpful for agencies to be able to target?
Well, historically, we've had only a few categories, and last year we expanded them and we tried to make them more person-centered, using more language which like people could actually relate to. And also maybe to test the idea, like whether we could have more focused programming so that what you're funding is easy to understand. So that was the effort. It may be a failure. We've done it only for 1 year, but I'll try to put into the chat so that everyone can have these documents. Do you want to see the last couple of years?
Yeah, and I can just download them and look at them before our next meeting. Because I just was wondering, were there any priorities added
Yes.
from either last year or from our conversations over the last couple?
Yeah,
months?
there is in the very first section, there's a description of input so far and how that's been incorporated.
I'm sorry. I went straight to the priorities when I was taking notes. So I will need to read your entire memo. I
That's
apologize.
okay. I think
Lynn.
it's no harm for me to share with y'all previous years. Okay, bye, Deb. Deb is leaving too. So I'll go ahead and put those into the chat.
Okay, moving on to the funding guidelines, which follows the priorities. It's also changing some of the language. Am I right, Lynn?
And all of the changes are identified with highlights. These are, almost all of this is suggested by our attorney, but then a couple of board members have also gotten involved, and you can, like the way I've left it right now, I tried to show the comments, like what the questions were and then what the potential answers were. It turns out a whole lot of this is based on history. Some of it is grounded in IRS rules. So I learned a lot in this exercise, but it could still be better. Anyway, it doesn't change any of the rules in a big way. It's just clarifying language for the most part.
And again, this needs to be approved before the end of this calendar year.
It can be, that's helpful as far as developing contracts and for agencies to know what they're getting into with us, but you don't have to change it at all. You have currently an approved set of funding guidelines that, you know, we just went through it in May. It's just that during that conversation, it became clear that it could be tighter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other comments? Well, it looked to me like the biggest changes are pages 59 and 60, having to do with independent CPA audits, and that this is a point of clarification for me because I know we have discussed this. We have already approved for agencies who are below a certain amount to not have to engage in that. And we've also provided some money for that. Is that right?
Not quite. So those changes were already made. So you're looking at page 59.
59 and 60.
So
yeah.
there are no changes suggested here. I just put highlights on the categories in case we wanted to change them, but they're not. There's no change suggested here. This was done in 2018. Every funded program delivers some kind of independent accounting, whether it's an audit, which gives you the assurances, a financial review, which is a good analysis, but it doesn't give you assurances, or a compilation, which is really just sort of, it's very minimal assurances, but it's something. And we also created we changed the amounts of money that you could charge to the contract so that essentially you can use this funding to pay for this service from an independent CPA firm so that the agency is not incurring a debt when they engage with us. So we have had some problems with smaller agencies not realizing the rule changed, even though we talked about it. You know, there's one family peer support network where it's all volunteer run, and some of the people understood the change, others didn't. And I don't know if they were not talking to each other because they were sure calling me a lot. But somehow they managed not to get they needed to get us a financial review, and they managed not to do it for last year's contract. So even though they could charge up to it. So communicating clearly about our rules is always a challenge, but there is no suggested change for those categories. I wanted to put highlights on them in case you want to change them again. So those were all 2018.
Well, I guess I'm confused because I thought the highlight meant something new.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, there are highlights where there's a strike through. That's a change.
A strike through means getting rid of it.
Yeah, and then if
highlighting without a strike through means new.
Yeah, and so in this case, you can't see it. I think it's a different color of highlight. I will take these highlights out in the future, but just for clarification, no change is being suggested to these sections. If you want to make a change, we could.
Okay.
But then we get back here, and this language required from all agencies, that's new to really clarify that it's required from everyone. And then here in highlights is a comment.
Okay.
So then there are some questions for which I don't really have an answer. Our attorney thought that payroll tax payments should be viewed for every quarter. So that would be a change. I did not make that change. I wanted just to offer
Okay.
it as a possibility.
Okay. So any other questions or comments about this? And Lynn, is there going to be an action item on this, or what's going to be happening with this draft?
Yes, I would like to bring that back. So that's why I was saying I would bring that and the priorities back in December for action. But
All right.
you could reject
Well,
all of this.
let's have a discussion about that, because I think for me, having a meeting that is less than an hour and a half long, or an hour and a half at the most, and getting the business done is going to be better. So let's consider, and you can put out requests for people, keeping our regular meeting in November and putting these as action items for November, so that we've got a month to think about them, look at them, understand them, ask questions about them, and get that accomplished.
Mhm.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I'm really ill-informed about a lot of this stuff that's in this draft, and I think I need a study session, where we can all ask questions and figure this out, because I don't think I would be ready next meeting to vote on this or not vote on it. I don't think I'd be ready without some sort of study session. Does anybody else agree?
I agree with you, Georgiana,
Okay.
because the study session would allow us to publicly discuss this, but we wouldn't have to take any votes. We could take the votes in December. Is that how it would work?
Sure. It sounds like what we're going to do now is keep the November 17 morning meeting. I would also like you to come to the November 17 mental health board meeting so that we can have a joint study session and a joint special meeting. There's some topics that you share. Then you would add another study session, maybe in the beginning of December, to talk about the funding guidelines again, and then the meeting in December.
Well, I'm not sure about that. Yeah, Lynn, I think maybe we can resolve some of this by sending emails back and forth to each other and figure out what the meeting schedule is going to be. Because I'm still confused about what the actual requirements are, what we need to approve, and what the group really needs to discuss.
Well, you need to approve the priorities document. That is
Okay.
on the schedule, on the allocation timeline that's identified for December. So, but if you want to have discussion of it in November too, that makes a lot of sense. You have a meeting on the books for November. There is no meeting room available to me. So I'll probably just, if we are still on Zoom, I'll just sit in the office and we'll announce it that way. And then on November 17 at 5:45, I think it would be really good if we can turn that into a joint study session with the mental health board and a joint special meeting in case there's any action around the SILA. And then if you want to have an additional study session to discuss the funding guidelines, you can. There is no rush to change those again. These are all suggestions that were made back in June, and I've waited because you had a lot of other things, other meeting agenda items to work through. So I waited until this meeting to bring it to you. It can certainly wait longer, but I will propose a special study session meeting in early December so that you have enough time to get through this stuff.
Okay, why can't we discuss it at the November meeting if we don't have anything that we have to vote on in the November meeting?
Well, there was a suggestion to have a study session just on that topic. So if you want to try to include it in a meeting, it's totally fine. We can do that. We can have the November 17, 9 a.m. meeting, and you can have discussion of the priorities document and the funding guidelines document. And then whether you vote on them or not. Is that, and then don't have a study session separately to discuss the funding guidelines?
Okay.
Is that?
Well, I'm just, yeah, I'm trying to maximize our use of time. If we have the time allotted, we've got a business meeting format, but for example, today, we're not really voting on anything for the rest of the meeting. We're just discussing things. So why can't we have that discussion in the November meeting?
I didn't suggest a study session. It's totally fine to have a discussion at a business meeting. It just sounded like people wanted
the word
time.
study session is getting us confused.
Well, I think
study session is a special meeting that's called to discuss a particular topic. And of course, we can ask questions. We could make our meeting into effectively a study session because we're not asked to vote on it at that meeting. But it would be at the regularly scheduled meeting.
It sounded more like it was an issue of having time.
And I suggested that, you know, before I vote on anything, I wanted to have time to talk about it and learn about it and ask questions about it. That could be done at a regularly scheduled meeting if we don't already have too many things in that meeting, if we have enough time during that meeting. And it sounds like the November regularly scheduled meeting could be that time. It sounds that way.
Right. I don't have a room. There's no room available at Brookings for the meeting. So I'll figure that out with the county. If we're on Zoom, it's a little bit less of a problem.
Well, we'll still be on Zoom in November, don't you think? I mean, who knows? But I don't think that's going to change.
Okay.
Very soon.
So are you all okay with 2 meetings in one day?
I am. And
yeah, as long as the meetings are not, you know, I mean, what is the study session that you want us to do with the mental health board? What is the topic?
It's Chandra Somerville is going to present on the work that she's done with Head Start over the last year or so.
I'm sorry.
And then we also will need to have, you will need to have some discussion with them and decision about related to SCILA and the SCILA fund.
Okay.
And we can also put that off. There's, you know, I can just put money into the fund and you can put it off and have discussion whenever there's time for that. But in my experience, there is not time, you know, there's just a lot to do. So,
okay.
I mean, but it's totally, if you'd rather not do 2 meetings in one day, we can schedule something for next year for the SCILA discussion.
Okay. Yeah.
Do we want to vote on that?
Well, we don't even have all of our members here now, so we could possibly poll people through email what they want to do about, give them the option of having a meeting for an hour and a half, with the idea being that we would just spend an hour of that meeting discussing the allocation priorities and selection criteria so that people feel really secure about what that means. And hopefully also the funding guidelines, if we can discuss those at that meeting, but not make a decision.
Right.
I would propose that we do that November 17th, if you can set it as a Zoom meeting.
Mm-hmm. I'll figure it out with the county.
Okay. And then in the evening, we've got a study session, and then possibly Lynn will ask us to make some decisions about the SCILA fund.
If
combining a study session and a regular meeting.
It would be a special meeting.
Special meeting.
Might even be a closed session, depending on the topic. There's
Yeah.
certain things that you should do in closed session related to real estate, but I don't think that's where we're headed.
Okay.
And that's on the 17th. And what time is this, the evening meeting? 5:45?
Yeah. Yes, I'll show you. I've got, I'll share the screen. So this is the DD board schedule. And then this is the mental health board schedule. And what we're talking about is taking that November 17th and turning that into a combined, where is it? Yeah. To take their meeting and turn it into a combined meeting. And just so you know, you're welcome to attend any mental health board meetings you like. Here's the Zoom link to their meetings.
Okay, thanks. All right, so for the assembled group here, are we in agreement to have a meeting on November 17th in the morning for approximately an hour and a half, no more than that? But to spend about an hour of that time discussing the allocation priorities so that people feel comfortable with the language of that. Because to me, it's all language.
Yeah.
But if you want to do that, we can do that.
That's great. Let's commit to it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think we have accomplished everything except we might have one more agency that would like to give agency information because Becca had a chance to do it. And do we have Annette? Do you want to talk a little bit?
Yes, good morning. I have a couple things I'll save until next meeting, but the one that is a little bit time sensitive, we are gearing up again for our holiday sale at the Crow. We will have soap and wax melts and ornaments as we did last year. But this year we are adding candles and we're really excited about it. We have a good number of people that we support who are really interested in the environment and reusing items, recycling, limiting our use. And so we're working with a restaurant who is donating wine bottles. And we're, again, if you like the smell of some of our soaps, we're going to put those in candle form. And we were going to start with about 100. And I said, I'll probably buy about 20 of those. So we may want to do more. So we hope you will check them out. It'll probably be virtual again this year. We're hoping for some way to have a little bit of in person, but not really sure that we'll be able to do that. But again, everybody's pretty excited about this. Thank you.
And this is Patty. I will, I think, send an email since we've lost a couple of the board members with a couple of things that I was going to share because we had CQL was here last week and we have another client, like individual that has really happened upon some good news that I wanted to share with all of you too. So if it's okay to do that, I would just, I'll just do it that way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And thank you for your good work. So we've done update on the Scylla project, I think. And we've got utilization report and we've talked about schedules quite a lot. Anything else, Lynn, that we need to discuss on this meeting?
The mental health board input.
Yeah.
So they have approximately the same agenda items that you do. They have a different presentation for the first presentation today. And then they have two action items that may be of interest that are related to the funding requirements and guidelines. One is an appeal of a decision in the May funding guidelines changes. What we did was give every agency an additional 2 months to get their audits in, because this is in recognition with some of the barriers that are outside of people's control, like even the CPA firms are having a workforce shortage problem now. So that's been a new hangup. And then COVID has also kept slowed down a lot of audits, even where there's not a staffing problem. So we changed the guidelines to give everyone an automatic extension, so people don't have to ask us. They have 6 months to get the audits done. And then there's 3 months where they don't have to ask for an extension, but if it's not in, they don't get paid anymore. But then after 3 months, if it's still not in, the contracts are automatically terminated. So there is an agenda item this evening for an agency whose contracts were terminated October 1st. They're asking for an appeal of that decision. So I have not created a recommendation. This is, could be a really interesting board discussion. It could have some influence on the funding guidelines changes, depending on, how this goes. The other thing that they're going to consider is a very small pilot project to give some support to small agencies for their bookkeeping practices, to help them get their records in an audit-ready state, which is required by all our contracts. We're finding that small agencies really have a hard time with this. So we want to pilot what happens if an independent consultant helps an agency for 6 months. Like, how much time does this actually take? What does it cost? Is it helpful? So we're only asking them because there are no DD board agencies right now struggling with that issue. I mean, applause to the DD funded agencies, right? They're doing fine with that, but that's not always the case. So that, again, this item, depending on how it goes tonight, may come back to you in the future. We just want to
Okay.
pilot for 6 months and then report back to the boards on how it went. So that's it.
That sounds very good. Thank you for that. That was useful. Staff reports are included in the packet, and thank you for the staff reports. Any comments about the staff reports? And board announcements. Are there any announcements? Nothing right now. Okay, I think we are going to adjourn, and I want to thank everybody for their time and attention. And sorry about that kind of discussion about how are we going to get this done. Lynn will be sending out emails to people to clarify when the meetings are going to be and what we're going to be doing with those meetings.
Well, they're already scheduled.
Okay, all right, good. Thank you. Everybody have a good rest of your day. It looks like the weather's still good.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.